The silver trophy was still warm in her hands. The Philippine flags were still waving wildly across center court. And somewhere high above the grass courts of Birmingham, beneath the fading evening light and the roar of thousands of Filipino voices chanting Laban, Laban, Alex Eala stood frozen for just a moment, staring down at the biggest grass court trophy of her life. She should have looked only happy. That is what champions are supposed to look like after victories like this. Relieved, triumphant, overwhelmed by joy. And yes, some of that emotion was there. But if you looked carefully at her face as she lifted the Birmingham Open trophy toward the sky, there was something else too. Exhaustion. Not the exhaustion of one match. Not even one tournament. The exhaustion of an entire journey. Because while cameras focused on the trophy ceremony and commentators praised her movement on grass and her fearless left-handed aggression, Alex Eala was thinking about something completely different. Numbers. Bills. Flights. Hotel rooms. Coach salaries. Taxes. Sacrifices. Things nobody sees when they watch tennis on television. Things nobody talks about when young stars lift trophies beneath stadium lights. And that is why what happened next stunned the entire tennis world. Because minutes after winning the biggest grass court title of her career, Alex Eala walked into a press conference room in Birmingham and delivered the most brutally honest speech of her professional life. Not about tennis. About survival. About the hidden cost of chasing dreams. About the financial reality professional athletes are often terrified to discuss publicly. And within hours, millions of fans across the Philippines were crying. Not because she won. Because for the first time, they understood what it had truly cost her to get there. Birmingham, England. June 7, 2026. Edgbaston Priory Club. 6:04 p.m. The applause inside centre court still echoed faintly through the hallways when Eala entered the media room carrying the trophy carefully in both hands. The atmosphere felt celebratory at first. Reporters smiled. Photographers adjusted lenses. Tournament staff relaxed visibly after one of the most successful finals in recent tournament history. Everything about the moment suggested a normal post-title press conference. Questions about grass court confidence. Questions about Wimbledon. Questions about her tactical growth and mental resilience after a difficult clay season. Instead, Alex Eala changed the entire emotional direction of the room with one sentence. "People see this trophy," she said softly, looking down at the silver Birmingham title beside her, "and they think the hard part is over." The reporters stopped typing. "But honestly," she continued, "sometimes this is the easiest part." Silence. Complete silence. Because immediately everyone sensed she was about to say something far more personal than athletes usually allow themselves to say publicly. Eala leaned back slightly in her chair. Her voice remained calm. Measured. But there was emotional weight underneath every word now. People see prize money numbers online and think professional tennis players are automatically rich once they start winning. She smiled faintly. That's not reality. The room grew quieter still. Then she said the sentence that would spread across social media within minutes. The truth is, professional tennis is incredibly expensive. Suddenly nobody was thinking about forehands anymore. Nobody cared about rankings or semi-final statistics or Wimbledon projections. Because Alex Eala, one of the brightest young stars in women's tennis, had just cracked open a subject the sport usually keeps hidden carefully behind glamour and trophies. And once she started speaking honestly, she never stopped. "When I was younger," she explained, "I thought if you reached this level, everything became financially comfortable." She shook her head gently. "It doesn't work like that." Then she began listing realities fans almost never hear athletes discuss openly. Flights across continents every week. Hotels. Training blocks. Recovery sessions. Equipment costs. Physiotherapy. Nutrition. Coaching salaries. Travel expenses for team members. Taxes deducted immediately in foreign countries before prize money even reaches players. Sometimes, Eala admitted quietly, you win a match, you see the prize money headline online, and people think you've earned a fortune. She paused. But after expenses, after taxes, after paying everyone helping you survive on tour, another pause. the number becomes something completely different. One reporter later admitted the atmosphere inside the room shifted emotionally the moment she said that sentence. Because suddenly Alexandra Eala no longer sounded like a rising celebrity athlete. She sounded like a young woman carrying enormous invisible pressure while trying to represent an entire country simultaneously. And perhaps most powerful of all, she was not complaining. Not once. That distinction mattered enormously. There was no bitterness in her tone. No anger. Only honesty. Raw honesty. "I'm not saying this so people feel sorry for me," she clarified immediately. "I'm saying it because there are kids in the Philippines right now dreaming about becoming professional tennis players. And they deserve to know the truth too." That line broke hearts across the Filipino tennis community. Because deep down, everyone understood what she meant. Most children in the Philippines grow up viewing tennis as almost impossibly expensive already. Court access alone can be difficult. Coaching opportunities limited. Equipment costs overwhelming for ordinary families. And beyond that exists an even harsher truth. International tennis careers often demand financial sacrifices so extreme that many talented young players never get the opportunity to discover how good they could have become. Alexandra Eala knew that reality personally. She had lived it. And suddenly, sitting inside that Birmingham press conference room with a trophy beside her, she began pulling back the curtain on the years nobody saw. The early flights. The budget hotels. The tournaments where losses meant returning home emotionally crushed and financially strained at the same time. "The hardest part isn't losing matches," she admitted. "It's losing matches after your family sacrificed everything just to get you there." The room froze again. Because now this was no longer just a conversation about sports economics. This was family. Pressure. Love. Responsibility. And behind every sentence sat the emotional image of Filipino parents investing impossible amounts of hope into children's dreams. Eala looked down briefly before continuing. "My parents gave up so much." Her voice cracked slightly for the first time. There were years where every tournament felt like a risk. Then came the story nobody expected. She described traveling internationally as a teenager while calculating expenses constantly. Not luxury calculations. Survival calculations. Could they afford another week abroad? Could they afford another coach? Another tournament? Another opportunity? There were moments, she admitted softly, where one early round loss changed everything financially for the month. That sentence spread across social media faster than almost anything else she said. Because fans watching from home suddenly realized something shocking. Even one of the most promising young players in women's tennis had spent years living with financial uncertainty while climbing toward the elite level. And if Alexandra Eala experienced that pressure, what were lower-ranked players enduring? That question exploded online almost instantly. Within an hour, current and former professional players from both the ATP and WTA tours began reposting clips from the press conference. Outside the top 10. Especially for players from countries without massive tennis, some praised her courage directly. Others admitted privately that they had wanted to say similar things for years. Because beneath the glamour of professional tennis exists a brutal economic reality most casual fans never see. Only a tiny percentage of players become genuinely wealthy. For everyone else, the margins remain terrifyingly thin. Especially infrastructures. Especially for athletes funding global travel while carrying entire support teams year-round. Eala explained it clearly. People see the winner's check and think that's pure profit. She smiled sadly. It's not. The Birmingham Open winner's prize sat at approximately $33,650. To ordinary fans, that sounded enormous. Life-changing. Yet Eala calmly explained how quickly those numbers shrink in professional tennis. Taxes first. Then coaching percentages. Then flights. Accommodation. Food. Transportation. Training costs. Recovery costs. Suddenly the glamorous headline becomes something much smaller behind the scenes. And perhaps the most emotional part of the entire press conference came when she started talking directly about Filipino supporters. Because eventually the conversation shifted away from economics and toward gratitude. Real gratitude. The kind impossible to fake. Eala described seeing Philippine flags in nearly every country she travels to now. Melbourne, Rome, Miami, Birmingham. It still shocks me, she admitted. Sometimes I walk onto courts in countries I've never even visited before and suddenly there are Filipinos screaming Laban, like we're all family. She smiled through visible emotion now. Honestly, it keeps me going more than people realize. Then came the moment that truly destroyed the room emotionally. A reporter asked her whether she ever feels pressure carrying the expectations of an entire nation. Eala looked down for several seconds before answering. Yes. Very quietly. Yes. All the time. No pretending. No media training. No polished athlete response. Just truth. And then she explained why that pressure matters so deeply to her. Because I know what this means to people. She looked directly toward the Filipino journalists in the room now. I know some families save money for months just to travel and watch me play one match. Her eyes started watering visibly. I know overseas Filipino workers finish exhausting shifts and stay awake all night watching streams because they're proud somebody from our country is standing on these stages. Silence again. They sacrifice too, she whispered. So how could I not fight for them? At that point, several reporters inside the room were openly emotional. And online, millions of fans across the Philippines felt exactly the same way. Because for the first time, Alexandra Eala was not speaking like a distant athlete. She sounded like family. Someone carrying collective dreams while fully understanding the sacrifices behind them. Then she delivered the line that instantly became iconic among Filipino fans worldwide. This trophy, she said, placing her hand gently on the Birmingham title beside her, belongs to every Filipino who ever believed impossible things could happen for us too. Social media exploded instantly. Clips spread everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube. The speech transcended tennis almost immediately because the themes felt universal. Sacrifice, family, economic struggle, dreams that require entire communities to survive. Filipino parents showed the clips to children. Young athletes reposted her words repeatedly. Even non-tennis fans found themselves emotionally overwhelmed by her honesty. And perhaps most importantly, conversations began changing. People started discussing the financial realities of tennis more openly. Not only at the elite level, but throughout the sport globally. How many talented children disappear because travel becomes unaffordable? How many dreams end quietly before rankings ever rise? How many athletes suffer silently while fans assume prize money equals wealth automatically? Alexandra Eala forced those questions into public view. And she did it immediately after the biggest victory of her grass court career. That timing mattered enormously. Because nobody could accuse her of making excuses after defeat. She spoke from the winner's chair. Trophy beside her. History already made. And still chose honesty over performance. Later that evening, after interviews ended and cameras finally disappeared, several Filipino fans remained outside Edgbaston Priory Club waiting hopefully for one final glimpse of their champion. Eventually Eala emerged quietly carrying her bags toward the car waiting nearby. The crowd erupted immediately. Flags waved again. Children screamed her name. And despite everything, despite exhaustion, media obligations, emotional pressure, another tournament week still ahead, she stopped again. Smiled again. Signed autographs again. One young Filipino girl standing near the barrier held up a handmade sign that read, "Thank you for fighting for US." Eala noticed it instantly. And for several seconds, she simply stared at the sign silently. Then she walked over carefully. Signed the corner gently. And whispered something only the child's mother later revealed publicly. "I'm fighting because you all never stopped believing first." The mother cried while telling the story online later that night. So did thousands of other people watching. Because that sentence explained everything about Alexandra Eala's connection with her supporters. It was never transactional. Never artificial. Never about celebrity. It was about shared belief. Shared struggle. Shared pride. And perhaps that is why her Birmingham speech resonated so deeply around the world. Not because she exposed financial truths about tennis, Because she reminded people what dreams actually cost behind the scenes. Not only money. Everything. Time. Distance. Loneliness. Pressure. Family sacrifice. Emotional exhaustion. And yet somehow, despite carrying all of that weight, Alex Eala still stood beneath the Birmingham lights smiling through tears while holding a trophy for the Philippines. That image matters. Because someday another young Filipino child practicing on cracked courts somewhere far away will watch those clips. Not just the trophy lift. Not just the victory speech. The honesty. The vulnerability. The truth. And maybe that child will understand something important immediately. Dreams are expensive. Dreams hurt. Dreams demand sacrifices nobody sees. But sometimes, they are still worth chasing anyway. Laban always. Even when nobody sees the cost.